So how do postmillennialists deal with passages, 2 Timothy 3, for instance, that seem to warn us to expect horrible conditions in the last days? How are passages like that harmonized with the far more abundant passages filled with optimistic language of growth and triumph?
Good. Most contemporary postmillennialists are also preterists. And let me define that, explain that. When it comes to prophecy in the New Testament, there are four basic positions. And I'll take the book of Revelation as a sample. There's four basic positions: the idealist, the historicist, the futurist, and the preterist. The idealist is sort of abstract. This typifies the battle between good and evil. It's sort of a giant parable in the sky. Don't look for fulfillment on earth. That's the idealist position. The historicist view regards thinks that these prophecies will be fulfilled down throughout the course of the whole church age. So a very commonly known historicist interpretation is where the seven churches in Asia are thought to represent church ages: the age of Laodicea, the age of Ephesus, and so on. That's the historicist is like unrolling a carpet through all of history. Then there's the futurist view, which says that these prophecies are yet to be fulfilled in our future, as opposed to the preterist view, which was when the prophecies were given, they were for the future from the writer's frame of reference, but they are already fulfilled and are in our past. So if you believe that the Antichrist is going to be born 50 years from now and take over, then you're a futurist. If you believe that the Emperor Nero was the beast, not the Antichrist, but Cerinthus, let's say a false teacher in Ephesus as the Antichrist and Nero as the beast. If you believe that all happened in the first century, then you're a preterist. You believe that it was in the future with regard to, from the time of writing, but from our time of reading, it's in the past. The word preter comes from the Latin word for past. All right, so those are the four basic options. So what happens when passages like 2 Timothy 3, people read that in the last days, perilous times will come, they automatically fill in a futurist set of assumptions. In the last days of the world, okay, as opposed to taking it the way a postmillennialist preterist would take it. In the last days of the Judaic Aeon, in the last days of the old order, the old creation, the old heavens and the old earth. In the last days of that time, perilous times will come, and that's all regarded as the convulsive events of the first century that were right on top of the writers when they were writing, but then they went through them, and we're looking back on them. So, last days of what?
So if you're a New Testament author, Christ has already been resurrected and ascended into heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Can you point to anything in the New Testament text that makes it clear that they were expecting that they were at the very end of an aeon and another aeon was beginning still to come?
In fact, for futurists, the passages are so abundant that they're called problem passages, right? Okay. A common atheist argument is that Jesus predicted that he was going to come back within the course of one generation, and then Matthew 24. Then it didn't happen. The time is in Revelation. The time is near. The time is on top of it. The 11th hour is at hand. The Lord is at the door. So you've got, when you read the New Testament, you have this sense of expectancy, like it's going to happen any minute.
And what's the definitive mark where that transition happens?
The final climactic, convulsive thing that indicates that era is over is the destruction of the temple in 70 AD. So I regard the Christian aeon was inaugurated at Pentecost. The Judaic aeon ended at the destruction of Jerusalem, which means there was a 40-year overlap in the two ages. So the Judaic aeon is coming to an end. The Christian aeon has already been inaugurated, and there's 40 years. Like the Jews were 40 years in the wilderness. There's the gospel was given, the church is established, God's new leadership is established, and so on. And in 1 Corinthians 10 and in Hebrews 3 and 4, the early Christians are explicitly addressed as people in the exact same position the Jews in the wilderness were in. These things, Paul talks about the Jews in the wilderness who drank from Christ and who fell in the wilderness. And he said, these things were written for us, as examples for us, on whom the ends of the ages have come. Okay. So Paul is very clear that we're right at the tail end of this, and so not only in this age, but also in the age to come. So we tend to apply a futurist grid to that. The present age is human history, and the age to come is heaven. But I think that that's misplaced. The age that they were in was the age that was coming to an end, and the age to come is the Christian aeon.
Okay.